Welcome back to another reading and correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter and correct it as I go along. They are live every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch, should you want to listen. And today, we are doing chapter 18 of A Familiar Death. Marlot was still in his lion's arm when he woke up, head resting against his shoulder, and he was still wearing his pants. He smiled to himself. The day certainly had taken a lot out of him if he hadn't fully undressed while being in the same bed as Trembor. He could see light through the blinds. It was morning. No one had come in the middle of the night and tried to kill him. How are you feeling? His lion asked, nuzzling the top of his head. I'm okay. Sorry for forcing you to sleep like this. I'm not complaining, he whispered in Marlot's ear. Marlot turned on his back. Do you know what time it is? Trembor's stomach rumbled, making them both smile. Time to get something to eat. Marlot's smile vanished as he sighed. That might take some work. What do you mean? Jilly is not going to serve us. Why not? He'll know. So? Marlot looked at his lion. Trem, as far as anyone here is concerned, we're sick monsters. Deviant. No one will want to have anything to do with us, except maybe the farmers, he amended, unless someone told them to avoid us. They won't care. We might be able to get food there, if you're okay with eating grains until we leave. Come on, it can't be that bad. He knows we have money, and he seemed like a nice enough fellow. Trem, you saw everyone that was ready to attack us. They all seemed like nice people until that moment. But he knows us. Well, outside again. That isn't going to be enough. We'll stop by, but I'm telling you, you're going to be disappointed. He sat up and stretched. Actually, I'm surprised we haven't been kicked out of here by now. We're paid up for the week, Trembor stated. Marlot smiled and kissed his lion. We can hope. I'm going to wash up. You should pack our things. If we leave them here, we might not have anything left when we come back. Trevor studied his face. You really think they'd destroy our things? They were ready to kill us yesterday. But that was just a small group. Not everyone can think that way. Anyone who doesn't has left. He stood. I told you, this place destroys anyone who's different. He got out of his pants and went to the bathroom. When he stepped out, he knew he was clean, but he didn't feel any better. Their bags were packed, except for one set of clothing each. He watched Trembor finish his stretching exercise. He never got enough of that. He looked down at himself, and it didn't matter what mood he was in. It always caused him to react. Trembor stopped before him once he was done and looked down. You know, I can probably survive a while longer without food. Marlot grinned. He certainly was tempted by his lion's visible excitement. Go wash up. The sooner the day gets started, the sooner it ends, and we can enjoy ourselves without any distractions. Trembor pleaded with his eyes for a moment, and Marlot laughed. That's what it is, ass. Go! While Trembor washed, Marlot went over the room, confirming there was nothing left, then dressed. Trembor's shower was quick, and moments later he too was dressed. And they headed out the door and froze. Marlot's car was covered with graffiti, slurs and insult. Only the windows were untouched. How considerate of them to make sure he could drive without impediment. On the ground at his feet he saw folded bills. They had to have been in the door jamb and fell when he opened the door. He picked them up and counted them before handing them to Trembor. That's the rest of the week. I'm surprised they bothered giving the difference back. Trembor took them without looking. His eyes were on the car. What are we going to do about that? He growled. Nothing. I'll get it clean once we're done. Marl, if you want us to head home, I'm okay with it. I get now why you didn't want to come. Marlot shook his head, taking his bag to the trunk. No, we still have a case to handle. Who cares? Let them deal with this. Trem, even if I was the kind of male who'd drop a case because things went badly, the council is going to look for any excuse to make my life miserable, yours too. He waited for Trembor to put his bag in the trunk before closing it. They'd send lawyers after us with breach of agreement complaints, not to mention Arleon calling Sharphorns again. The city leader is already unhappy with me because of that first call. Now, do you think he's going to how do you think he's going to feel about a second one? You can explain things, he indicated the car. You can show him how badly we were treated. He can't expect you to work under those conditions. It doesn't matter. I'm not giving them the satisfaction. He got in the car. Trevor got in and looked out. At least we can see where we're going. They want us out of here, Marlot replied, getting on the road. It wouldn't make sense for them to make it impossible for me to drive. With no hesitation, he headed towards the town center. So, Trevor asked after a few minutes, you don't think they'll attack us? Not right now. They think we're on our way out. Once they realize we're not going anywhere, well, things could get interesting. It won't be in the daytime. They're going to have to bring themselves into the right mindset now that the initial anger is gone. But yeah, then they're going to feel courageous enough to try again. So we don't have to worry until tonight? I'll shrug. Doesn't matter. Anyone who tries gets taken down hard. What if it's your family? Trevor asked after a moment of silence. Trevor didn't reply for a long time. I'm not looking to kill anyone, but I'm not going to play prey for them. Hopefully, a few broken bones will convince them we're not worth the effort. His lion gave him a dubious look, and Marlot agreed with it. But all he could do was hope that some pain would make them reasonable. Marlot parked in front of Nago's clinic. His car attracted the attention of everyone they passed, but no one laughed. They glared hatefully at them. Some parents pointed them out to their cub, and by the snarl on their face said horrible things. Marlot ignored them. Trembor's stomach rumbled yet again, and he got out of his car. As he got out of the car, I'm going to Jaylee's. Marlot didn't argue with him, falling into step. People inside stared at them in stupefaction through the bay window, and silence fell as they entered. The mongoose was out of the kitchen before they crossed the threshold and standing before them brandishing a bloody knife. Get out! I just want to buy breakfast, Trembor said. You're too late. I'm all out. Then I'll just have meat. It doesn't have to be fancy. A few cuts will do. I'll pay whatever you want. I don't take your kind's money, Jaylee said. Get out. Trembor did that. I can't believe you refused my money, he said once the door was closed behind them. Their narrow-mindedness is more important than anything else here, Trembor said, distracted by his thoughts. So, what are we going to do for food? Marlot smiled, and Trembor took a step back. Oh, I have an idea about that, he headed for the council building. As they entered, an ermine startled and ran ahead into the council chamber. Marlot didn't hurry. He wanted them to be prepared for him. He was looking forward to this confrontation. He put all his strength into pushing the double doors, expecting resistance. There wasn't any, and they flew open, slamming against the wall. The ermine jumped, and the councilor all looked in their direction, looking like they'd been interrupted in the middle of a heated argument. Trevor stepped to the center of the large room. He looked at them over. The cougaress, the badger, the tiger, the bear. The lynx were at the front. He settled his gaze on Arleon because he was the cause of all this. I'm guessing you heard, Marlot said casually. The question? No, that's a comment. Actually, no. If it's a question, let's make it. I'm guessing you heard? The question seemed to stun them. The side door slammed shut as the ermine ran out of the room. Heard? The lynx sputtered, then regained his composure. Everyone knows you're an abomination. You think you can get away with forcing one of our clerks into meeting you two? He motioned to Trembor. That? You traumatized my grand-nephew, the tiger roared. I'll see to it that he sues you. Marlot shrugged. I don't care all that much about what you do. I'm here about this case you forced me to take. Case? A female behind the five said, comfortable in her anonymity. You think we'd let a deviant like you tarnish Naego's memory by touching his body? Who knows the kind of atrocity you'll do to him? Trembor growled and took a step forward toward the councilors, but Marlot raised his arm to block his way. He never stopped looking at Arlian. She's right, the Ling said. Your service aren't required anymore, so get out of here. Yeah, no, I'm not leaving. The Ling stared at him while the others whispered among themselves. You better leave, Wolf, the badger said. Old man Fullerin. Marlot remembered him as being a particularly bad-tempered male. I can't. I'm in the middle of a case. I've taken you off of it. I've taken you off it, Arlian growled. Marlot nodded sagely. But there's a problem with that. You see, you can't take me off it. A broad smile lit up his face at their stunned expression. There's only two ways I can be removed. The first one is for the group supervising me to remove me from it. That's us, Arlian stated. Marlot grinned. No, it isn't. I gave up this territory when I moved to the city. I'm no longer under your claws. I never was really. I just didn't know it back then. You were never my bosses. The revenue department was and still is. So it's someone there that needs to remove me from this case. He let that sink in for a moment, and just as Arlian opened his muzzle, he continued, and they don't take investigator off cases on a whim. They need to see that I'm not doing the job to the best of my abilities. Sure, you can always call City Leader Sharphorns again. You could get him to threaten someone there into calling me back, but I'd love to see you convince him to do that. Are you going to threaten another vegetable shortage? Are you going to tell him you don't want me here anymore because I'm a tail raiser? You really think he's going to care who I'm mated to? Just in case you don't know, no one gives a fuck who I have sex with in the city. He let them grumble and glare at him. Although quite a few of them were directed at Arlian. The Lynx glared back at them. You all agreed to it, so don't go putting the claws in me. He leveled his gaze on Marlot. What's the other way I can get rid of you? Well, if it happens that my case took me to another investigator's territory, then I could be forced to hand it over, providing there was enough evidence the case now fell under their jurisdiction. His face was now starting to hurt from smiling so much. The problem is that according to your grandson, you never gave this territory to another investigator. You let him handle it, and before you ask, no, you can't have him take over. He isn't a registered investigator. He's hardly a protector. If you try, I'm sure the Revenue Bureau will be happy to conduct an audit on the deaths that happened since I left. So, as you can see, you're stuck with me until we close the case. More grumbling. Marlot slapped his hand together and rubbed them. Now that we have that settled, there's a few things we need to discuss. Since you want me out of here as fast as possible, you'd better tell people to cooperate with our investigation. The more difficult they are, the longer we have to remain. And no, I don't mind sticking around anymore, since you don't have any control over me. So think it over carefully before telling anyone to make our lives problematic. He crossed his arm over his chest. And you're going to have to do something about feeding us. You can't be serious, a female wolf said, pushing her way between the cougaress and the tiger. You're forcing your stay against our orders, and you expect us to feed you? Marlot's smile became even brighter. He was going to slice his head in half if he kept if this kept going for much longer. Hey, you don't have to care about the food. That's fine. We'll deal with it ourselves. You see, unlike the lot of you, we know how to hunt. You think we're going to let you poach our farmers? The tiger said. The farmers? Why would I bother with them? When there's plenty of prey in this town for us to hunt. The statement confused them, which made Marlot happier than he could express. This had to be the first time any of them had been compared to prey. When it sank in, they exploded. They screamed over one another, making what they said unintelligible. But Marlot noted to himself that not one of them took a step in his direction. Arleon managed to quiet them, then glared at Marlot. You expect us to convince Jaylee to make your meals? Marlot shrugged, and his smile finally diminished. He felt like robbing his job, but that wouldn't convey the right image. If you want to piss him off, sure. If you want to stay on his good side, just get the store to deliver 3 meals worth of meat for each of us to Nago's clinic every morning, starting now. Marlot turned and took a step toward the door, then stopped. He looked over his shoulder. Just in case you're thinking of poisoning us, I can smell it. We'll leave it outside and go get our food ourselves. Considering the way this place is run, I doubt anyone, current company excluded, will be expensive. Didn't give them time to reply. He walked out, Trembor at his heel, and didn't stop until he was inside Nago's clinic. And this concludes chapter 18 of A Familiar Death. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter will be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read the book, as well as the others in the series, they are up. They are available on all major e-retailer. If you want to support me directly, that's on my Patreon, where you can also get access to just about everything I've written. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. The links are in the notes, and with that, I shall wish you a good day.